Hello, I'm Jonathan from Boredom Sated.
I'm Boris from Boredom Sated.
We are continuing our introspection on monsters, iconic monsters. We are sticking with our undead and creatures of the night theme. We are today going to be talking about mummies.
Yes, Pharaoh's Curse.
Yes. So, the main idea behind mummies, well, there's obviously the history of mummies are that mummification was a process that was used in several ancient civilizations, most famously ancient Egypt. So mummification is a real thing. That's the start. However, mummies coming back from the dead and being nearly unkillable and being cursed and they giving you mummy rot and all sorts of things like that, not exactly the most recent idea. However, in the early 20th century, a lot of Egyptologists came around and they were opening up tombs, especially in the late 19th and early 20th century. Most famously, the King Tut's tomb was opened up in 1922. And famously, many of the people who were on that expedition died in mysterious and terrible ways. And because of that, we got the original mummy concept, the original mummy as a horror character. They give you a curse. You will be killed by anybody who opens up their grave will die a horrible death.
Yes.
And that brings us to the first real mummy movie, which was Boris Karloff, 1932, The Mummy.
Oh, you said Karloff. Never mind. The movie really, I think, began the process and what most mummies were viewed as in the movies and done within the pop culture up until the Mummy with Brendan Fraser. I think that really changed the overall view on the abilities and capabilities of mummies.
Yes, the mummies being able to control the desert, being able to summon minions, being able to do all sorts of things that are terrible and horrible. And although that movie was a lot of fun, obviously it was completely based on the fact that it was a sorcerer who was mummified and cursed. So it was like mummy plus sorcerer equals super mummy. And that's going to bring us to what we're going to talk about here, which is, again, the difference between the Mummy in 5th edition and the Mummy in Pathfinder. The first thing we want to talk about is the fact that the base mummy, the Mummy Guardian versus what's the other one called again? It's the Mummy Guardian versus just the Mummy?
Just the Mummy.
Which are CR 4 and 6 respectively, I think.
Yes. Yep.
Are almost identical. The basic mummy.
I think they're pretty much identical.
Yeah, the CR 3 and 6 respectively. The basic mummy in 5th edition and the basic mummy in Pathfinder are nearly identical. They have rotting fists. They can give you mummy curse. They have dreadful glare. They can fear you.
Yep.
They are resistant to a lot of things, and they are weak to fire. I'm pretty sure that's literally exactly everything, both of them. Like, they are both exactly the same creature, which is kind of neat that it's a very similar creature. However, this is where it makes a big difference. Pathfinder 2's version does some neat stuff when you get to the higher level guy.
Yes. So the Pathfinder 2 version is the Mummy Pharaoh, and they get all the same capabilities, just at a higher strength because they are creatures of 9, and they do have the Wrath Sandstorm, which I think is in line with the movies of Brendan Fraser, where they have a 60-foot cone that deals both fire and slashing damage, 5d6 in each respectively, making it 10d6, which is a pretty big hit for a creature that's CR9.
Yeah, it's a good creature. It's got some good powers to it. It's got a more powerful version of the Mummy's Rot, and I think it's nearly immune to several things. It's a good monster.
Yes.
However, what they decided to do in 5th edition was they decided to have the higher level mummy be a boss monster. So the Mummy Lord is a CR 15. And the Mummy Lord has legendary actions, and it has legendary things because it's a boss monster. First of all, it's also a spellcaster. It can cast up to 6th level spells as a cleric, which again goes right along in line with what a lot of people think of when they think of a mummy. They think of evil clerical abilities because they're calling upon the powers of the ancient Egyptian gods of the dead.
Yep.
So that's a very cool idea. And then you also have, of course, they still have the Dreadful Glare. They still have all of the other stuff, but they also have the legendary actions. One of the legendary actions is Whirlwind and Sand, which, of course, goes right along the lines of the same idea, but it doesn't do damage. Instead, it magically transforms the Whirlwind of Sand, moving up to 60 feet and reverting it to its normal form. Basically, it becomes immune, turns into sand, and moves things around. So it's a little different from the version that we think of when we think of the mummy with the giant. Everyone thinks of the face in the sand as it's coming to destroy the dirigible, which is, again, just lots of fun. But the Mummy Lord does have Binding Dust, and the Binding Dust ability basically allows them to control the sand and to be able to bind you. So it's different, but it's similar. It's a lord. It's got lair actions. It's got legendary actions. It's got advantage on saving throws. It's got all of that fun stuff that you put on a lord. So whereas the Pharaoh, the Mummy Pharaoh is a really good monster to be able to do at the end of a dungeon.
Right.
The Mummy Lord is a really good villain of a portion of your campaign.
Yep. I totally agree. I mean, if you exclude the legendary abilities and from the thing, the characters are pretty much the same. I mean, all the capabilities are the same. Everything is in line with the correct CR. Clearly the 15th is going to be a little more powerful than the 9th, but all the capabilities and abilities are the same. And you're absolutely right. The 5th edition Lord could be your major villain, whereas the Mummy Pharaoh is just probably a one adventure where you go through and you find the Pharaoh and you defeat him and you're good to go.
Now, one other thing I believe is if you kill, I think the one thing that I really liked more about the mummy in Pathfinder is if you kill the mummy in Pathfinder, it still regrows its body after a week or something, as long as the heart isn't destroyed, something like that.
No, that's it's rejuvenated. It's 1d10 days. Right. It reforms is destroyed during the time. The process starts anew. A slain Mummy Pharaoh can be destroyed for good with a consecrated ritual. So it's only for the Mummy Pharaoh. It's not for the base guardian.
Yes.
But
which is very cool.
That's interesting. Yep.
Now the thing is that the rejuvenation ability of the Mummy Lord, because it also has it, is much more powerful. Yep. The Mummy Lord rejuvenates a new body 24 hours if its heart is intact, regaining all hit points and becoming active again. The new body appears within 5 feet of the mummy's heart. So the mummy can just go and can just basically use the heart as a phylactery?
Yes.
But we'll talk about that at another video.
Yes. So based on that, pretty much to summarize, the mummies are pretty much identical in our viewpoint. The better version is for the Mummy Lord within the 5th edition that allows you to have him as a major villain throughout a campaign setting. And but the overall base skill sets are very identical, and there's neither is better than the other.
Yeah, in this case, the base mummy at least, they're basically the same. They're used for the same purpose. The higher level mummy, I think we both agree, and we did both agree that the 5th edition mummy is probably a little bit better. It's basically, again, how you want to use them. In a lot of cases, Pathfinder gives you more ability to use a creature. In this case, 5th edition did it better.
Yes, totally agree.
So that's our opinion.
So, yep. Please subscribe. Tell us if you fought mummies. Have you fought a Mummy Lord in 5th edition, and how did that go? What's your opinion? Subscribe, like, and this is Boris from Boredom Sated.
I'm Jonathan from Boredom Sated, and everybody have a good day.
Bye.